Hello everyone, welcome to the day 3 video submission. This is one of 3 videos for the day 3, the third and the final one for day 3, and we will be looking at the programming of the forgot password and reset password process. So to recap what we have done so far, we created a sign in and a sign up UI, we created a database, we connected the database with the sign up, input data from the sign up, then using the sign in, we created a login process using PHP and we communicated with the database and we logged in successfully. And now we're looking at, we also did a remember me where we create a custom cookie of our own and save the user's ID, email, and the cookie token, which was hashed, and we saved it in our database. Now we are going to look at forgot password and the reset password process, and let's get into it. So first and foremost, we have our we'll actually start from the start. We will use a new user. We'll call it new user 123 and new user 123 surname, new user 123 at gmail.com, and we'll get a new user 123 321. That's his password. We will be forgetting the password, so it will not be an issue. 321, let's call it this. We'll create an account. Registration successful. We'll first check the database if it's here already. Yes, we have created it. So now we will log in. Let's get into it. So user 123 gmail.com. And we put the password. We can click this or not click it, depends on what we want. Sign in. Okay. So we will go back. Okay, now let's say we forgot. Delete the session. Okay, it's done. Give it a refresh. Yes, we lost it. And now we've forgotten the password. So now we come into the main functions here. Yes, we have forgotten the password. So we need to input the email. So gmail.com. First of all, we will check the validation. Can we send a code to no email? There is no email like that. So we'll try @email.com. No user found, so that it makes sure that it needs to be a proper valid email. So we'll go user123 at gmail.com. Send code. Okay, just found that there is an email called new user123 at gmail.com. Code sent. Right, so we need to enter 6-digit code. Let's type a random code 123456, verify. Invalid code. So all the validations have been done. And now let's look at the email and get our code. So I'm now in my email. I'm in the sent. So what happens is we actually have created a process using a PHP mailer, which is an open source library. And we have sent an email to, it is sent to new user 123, but it's sent from our own email. And it basically says, let's go into it. Yes. Hi new user 123, your verification code is as such. So it has actually been sent. It has been sent. This is an email that has been sent from my email. So if there is actually an email as such, it will get sent. So it actually works. So we'll copy this. Control C, Control V, and verify. The code is verified. Now we can give it a new password. So we'll go with new password 123, new password 123. So there's validation over here, so we have to retype it, be careful. Password 3. yes, password has been reset successfully. So we will now type it here, password3 for the new user 123@gmail.com, and we'll sign in. And yes, so we have successfully reset the password and logged in once again. So that's all for what we did. Now we'll get into the code, how we did it, and what we used. So first of all, we'll go back to the database. So as you can see here, we created a new one called password reset tokens. So what happens here is it's not anything to do with password, it's just that this table resets the token. So as we spoke earlier, we save a token when the remember is clicked. So what happens here is that now that token, let's go back here, remember tokens. So in the previous video, we saved this token, right? At 709, we created this, and this token got saved, right? But now if we create a new token and we reset the password, the cookie the cookie is saving an old password, which will create an issue for the user when he tries to log in again. So what we do is we have a reset. So this reset actually deletes the old entry. So there would have been an entry somewhere here, it got reset. We'll actually check that towards the end of the video. So it deletes the entry and creates a new one with a new expiry. So that's what that table is used for. And again, something I forgot to tell, we need to remember that our Apache is running in the background. And yeah, let's get into the code. So the new parts. So day one, we created both of these, we programmed this, and now we have this new section. So in the new section, we actually have quite a lot of UI code that we created to get those beautiful looking UI. So it looks like a floating window, but it's not, and that is all possible thanks to Tailwind CSS that creates us this nice looking form. Actually, it's in the same form, those UIs. For the forgot password as well as the verification using the 6-digit code and so on. So as you saw earlier, this is the code used for each one. So first of all, we have a new header, a new one to enter the email, then the window for the verification code and the reset password, all with new IDs so that we can use it later on. And yes, that's it for the UI. Let's go into the process. So for all this to work properly, we need to have a JavaScript, a JS that does the workload of it, that makes it run smoothly. So we will look at the JS. So we discussed the sign-in process earlier. So now we are here at the forgot password. So first of all, we collect the data, capture it or rather, give it a variable name, and then we do some validations. If the validations are correct, we go ahead. If not, we say, hey, you have input an invalid email address. We checked that earlier. And if all is correct, we do send an HTTP request for the process to go ahead, saying, hey, yes, the email is correct, and now we move into the process. So before we move into the rest of this, we'll actually go into the password forget process. So in the password forget process, there's nothing much. It's just that we do two things. First of all, we check the database and check if there is such an email for such user. So as you can see here, yes, user had an email, and we tested it twice. We used a random email, it was not there. The this email was there and we got it. And at the same time, we are creating a safe expiry code for 10 minutes. That will be checked later on. I will come to that. And yeah, so it uses the email helper and then sends the code. So that's all for the process of the forgot password. Then we have the verification process. In between this, we actually have the email process. So we will, we use the email helper and actually send the email. So the email gets sent here. Yeah. So we are now back again with our JS. So yeah, once this is sent, we load and say yes, the code is sent to your email, and the elements that were opened up get closed, and we move into the verify code. So yeah, that is. So we also have an error in case maybe there's a network issue also, because that can be the only issue that we have. If the email does not get sent, we get this, and then we go into the verification process. So let's check the verification process. So similar to the earlier one, we capture the input, we give it a variable, and then we do some validation. So as we showed earlier, if we type something wrong, it actually checks it and says, hey, this is wrong. And if not, if we just input 2 or 3 digits, it says enter the exact amount of digits. And if everything is correct, we go ahead and we collect the email and the code, and we go with a different process this time, the reset password process, which we will go into quite soon. But before we go into that, we have to actually look at this as well, the reset password section, which also so what happens over here in the verification process is it checks the code that was created and sent. In this part, we created a code, gave it an expiry and sent it, and in that process it checks whether the code is accurate and correct. If it is correct, we move on to resetting it. And yeah, so in that part, so in between all this, we actually have the email process, so we'll go into the email right now. Yeah, so this is the email helper, email.php, that uses the PHP mailer library. So in this library, we have actually it goes in the following order. Yeah, so it goes in the following order. We have PHP mailer.php, which is the main library, and then it has sub libraries or like building blocks of the same library: smtp.php, pop3.php, and oauth.php, which I will explain each one by itself. So the main one, as I said, is PHP. Then we have SMTP, which is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, as I remember, that uses an email server to send an email. And then we have POP3, which is a kind of authentication, as well as OAuth, which is also a much more modern authentication process. So without these, we cannot actually send an email. We could, but regarding the modern day and age of email sending and the security measures, it's quite impossible. So over here, we actually have to use a password that we get from our email. I've covered it because it's actually my own email. And so yeah, we require the smtp.php, phpmailer.php, and if none of these work, we have the exception PHP that actually sends us back error codes. So we will now look at this. So as you can see, we try with all these. We give our username, give our password, and go along with the process of the PHP mailer. This is the bottom part of it. As you can see, it sends an email. If the email does not get sent, it says email failed. If there's an error, using exception, we say email error and get the message of what the error actually was. and if not, the email gets sent. So that is the main part of that. And as you can see here, we actually add so this is the whole section that we see in our email. So let's go back to our email. So as you can see here, the email says, "Hi new user, your verification code is such and such. It expires in 10 minutes. If you didn't request this, please ignore this email." And all that comes from right over here. So as you can see, it says, "If you didn't request this, please ignore this email." All of it together right here, and that's it for the email section. So that is in between the forgot password and the verification process. So once that is done, only we verify the code with the database. So let's move in back to the auth.js, and here we are at the verification. So it checks the verification. If the verification is successful, it says code verified, and we move on to the reset password. So reset password actually is we actually go and actually delete the previous password and reset a new one. And in that process as well, we delete the session token that was saved earlier. Sometimes that will not be needed because we don't always create not the session token, but the custom cookie that we created, the token for the cookie. So that needs to be replaced. If we haven't selected it, it does not get replaced. And so we also have some UI related JS that helps us make the transitions between the forms much more clear and nice. As you can see here, all this happens from these JS functions. So now we will go in depth into the reset password process. So as we can see here, we have to communicate with the database. So using connection.php, we connect to the database, and we first do some checks, check what is required, and then we check the database, the email, and if there is no email, we say no user found, and if there is, we go along with this. So we select his token and the expiry from the password reset tokens, and we input a new one, and after all of that, we go down here and we actually delete the password. Sorry, this is the token. Sorry, I made a small mistake. So there are actually two sections over here. We have if verify and if reset. So both functions run in the same PHP. Once the email has been sent, we first verify the token. This section is just to verify the token. Verify the code used. So we check for the user, we check and then we check the expiry. All this is relevant to our password reset token and the remember token. So we check that over here, and then we go down. So if we are resetting the password and we're going through with it, we go to the database and we select the ID from the user where the email is as such, and then we update. Sorry, it's quite similar to delete and then insert again, but it's much better to just update. And again, once again, as you can see here, we have used our the way we input the queries, follow the structure, query type, and so on. We discussed this in the day 2. So we update the new password, and then we delete the old password reset, and we we go ahead with the reset, and the password is all reset. Yeah, sorry, this is actually the password reset token that is deleted so that it cannot be reused again. And we move on to yeah, we'll actually go and test this out. So we'll go and we'll actually create a new, we will actually use a different user. Check user test, let's go to user, we'll take test user on the gmail.com. I remember his password, so we'll go with that. Test user 1 at gmail.com. Test user 1123. I think that was his password. Yes, remember me. So we will create, let's go back, we have created a cookie. We will check the database for remember tokens. Give it a refresh. And yeah, as you can see, 8:11, 59 seconds. We created this. Now we will go back and say we forgot the password. I forgot the password. Test user1 at gmail.com. Send code. So we will go and collect the new code. This code has been sent to your email. Let's go to our email. There is a small error here. So there is actually there's actually a user called testuser1 at gmail.com, and his inbox is full. So there's an issue right there, but this is the code. We can get it over here. This is a response email that we get from Gmail. This has nothing to do with our project. So let's go back. Give him our code. Actually, we can actually test one thing we didn't test earlier. 1, 2, 3. Enter exactly 6 digits, so we'll go with it. Verified. Code is verified. And now we get our new password. Yeah. So we'll go and reset the password. We will type reset password. Password is reset successfully. Yeah. So now we'll go and actually check. So now we have created, we created this, right? So let's go and check it out. What happened to that thing? Let's give it a refresh. Password reset tokens. Oh, it has been removed. Okay, so it gets cleaned up. That's great. So yeah, let's go back here and reset password. Login successful. Let's go back and check. Yes, those have been switched from out, so we don't have to do it by ourselves. It automatically happens. And yeah, there's a new one created. The old one is no longer necessary. And that's that for the password reset. Let's actually go back through everything again from where we started. So we have new sections. We'll forget this for now. We created a new UI for forgot password, then gave it its own header. Then step 1 is for the email entry, step 2 is for the verification code, and step 3 is reset password. So let's go back to the step 1. So step 1, we start with the forgot password. Yeah, that is the sign in. So we come here to function forgot passwords, function forgot password. When we click that, there's a small validation. It checks the email address from the database, and then it gives us it sends an HTTP request to run this, which is our process, the forgot password process. So we go into the forgot password process. It first validates the email, checks with the database whether the email is correct. It creates a new a secure, a hashed code hash. So it creates a code that we need to, a verification code that is hashed. It's hashed in the database for a reason, because we cannot have anyone access that, because they could automatically reset the password by themselves. And then we actually insert into first we actually, this is to clean the database, and we create a new entry for the password reset that we saw here. So we actually missed a step. Once this happens, this actually deletes any old records. So there can only be one field over here at a time. Maybe with multiple users there could be many, but for one user there can only be one at a time. And then we move with the email. And we have an HTTP request sent to the email .php, the email helper, or rather, that uses PHP Mailer. As we said before, PHP Mailer is a library that makes our life easy. It's an open source thing, it's on GitHub. So actually, if we want to go into it and look at it, we'll just go to PHP Mailer and you can see this is what we see. It's the authors and so on. And it's an open source project that we can use anytime. And we're back with our mail. I'm using this to block out my password, because the password used here is a generated password for my email. So I get to send an email using my, I can use the project I made using PHP and whatnot to send an email using my Gmail that uses email helper. And as we said, all these, so the PHP Mailer is the main one. The email is sent using SMTP. POP3 is an old verification library, and OAuth is a modern one used by Gmail and the modern mailing services. And so first we use the credentials from here and send an email. So it says from reply@skillshop.com. There's no email like this, but it just says this is a placeholder, more rather. And we use our email that we set here, and if it's working, is HTML true, we set the subject your skill shop password reset code is, and this is our email content. As you can see, we'll look at it in a much better way. So now we can look at it. So this is the main body of the password. It says hi and gets the user's name. Your verification code is, inserts the verification code over here and sends it. This is just some validation used if, sorry, not validation, but error handling. If the email is not sent, we actually can, if there's an error, we can use the exception library and it gives us the correct message. And then we have our reset password. We'll go back into the JS and look at that. So first we check the verification code, because now we got the code, we collect the code, and these are all just input, collecting the input. We use a regex to check the code for the correct amount of numbers, and then if it is not correct, we give a validation message, and then we go on with our verification process. And in our verification process, as we showed earlier, it checks it with the hash code, checks whether everything is working, whether everything matches up, and then we move on to the reset process. So this is the main. We had this similar thing in the sign-up process, where we make sure both passwords are matching and meet the actual character limit for passwords. And we actually give once everything is correctly being updated, we actually go back here and we can actually see. So this part is the verification we were talking about. It checks the ID, checks the database for the token that was created. And then we also one main thing I did not talk about earlier is the expiry. So it checks if the expiry is correct, because if you remember here it says now is greater than the expiry. So the reason for that is when we were sending the email, we created an expiry for 10 minutes. So it has to make sure that the email being sent, the verification that is being sent is not expired, that the verification code is not being expired. So that happens over there. And then if everything is correct, we go ahead with the function. And then we come to reset. So we enter the new password. We actually do another validation over here in the backend, which is a good practice. And then we check with the database and make sure it's accurate. And then we do an update the entry in the database. And the earlier token we created is deleted, because we cannot be having verification codes just saved around, because it could be used for anyone and mess things up. So that's why we delete it. And the reason it gets deleted at the start, the reason it was getting deleted at the start was so that there is a clean, right over here. So we do this at the start and at the end. It's done at the start as well, just to make sure that there's no token, there's no verification code already there, because there are instances where someone will click the verification code multiple times because it has not come to them, and maybe our database gets updated with multiple, and then we don't know which one to check. So it always has one per user. So that's the reason for that. And if everything is successful, he gets to update his user password, and there are no reset tokens here, and the tokens that are here get deleted automatically because they are no longer needed. So that is there as well. And that is all for the day 3 of the Skillshop web project. Thank you.